You're so confident. Well, I haven't always been this way. Ever since I can remember, I've had a love-hate relationship with my body. Every year, starting around age 7, I would dread heading to the pediatrician because I would receive the same talk almost every time. Well, you're in a high percentile for weight, your kids your age, but you're in an average height percentile, and this could cause a problem. You need to get this under control. Do you do any sports? Do you exercise? Do you eat healthy? Meanwhile, I hated sports in lower and middle school, and even when I did do sports, I was given the same exact talk with the addition of, well, what do you do when your sport isn't in season? Mind you, my sport was in season from September through April. The worst visit I ever had was when I was in 3rd grade. I was about 8 years old, went to PE every day, so I had about 40 minutes of physical exercise every Monday through Friday. My pediatrician basically told me I was eating extremely unhealthy, and I needed to get my weight under control, or else I would have terrible consequences. But to this day, I have never been diagnosed with high cholesterol or high blood pressure. So I was just receiving information that I weighed a lot, and this really needed to be fixed. This really harmed my 8-year-old mental state. I felt guilty and ashamed. Additionally, it did not help that I've been bullied about being overweight my entire life. I received comments like, if I was as morbidly obese as you, I'd shoot myself. And one of my friend's parents even told me that I should go on a blanking diet. The word wasn't blanking, and it's not a PG-13 word either. I was even told that I didn't have the body for the shirt I'm currently wearing. I constantly wondered what was so wrong about my body. It got me up in the morning, got me through my good and bad days, and did what I needed it to do. I wasn't trained to be an elite athlete, so the extra cushion didn't really harm me. I had my form, and it fit my function. While your upbringing can hurt or help your growth, the media also puts constant pressure on kids and adolescents to look a certain way. You see headlines concerning Chris Brown's post-prison tummy, but not the fact that he beat up Rihanna. Firstly, I think I can safely say that no one here looks exactly like those perpetrated by the media. Being older now, it's easier to realize, oh yeah, these people don't look anything like me. We have different body shapes, metabolism, genetics, DNA, etc. Not to mention, when you're this rich and famous, it's super easy just to hire personal chefs and trainers to make sure you're kept on track. Additionally, I'm not blaming celebs for looking this way. Maintaining their image is a huge part of their job, especially for the models, excuse me. However, these body types are often the only ones seen regularly by the American public, especially adolescents who are fed this imagery, resulting in many young adults feeling like you and me, feeling as if they do not fit in with how they should look. The constant barrage of pictures harms children and adolescents. 81% of 10-year-olds are afraid of being fat. 90% of junior and senior high school girls diet regularly. 12% of boys admit to using unproven muscle supplements or steroids. 80% of US women don't like how they look, and 1/3 of men are dissatisfied with their bodies. This final statistic really gets to me though. Teen girls are more afraid of gaining weight than they are of nuclear war, cancer, or losing a parent. My belief about the statistic is that being skinny or fat is seen as being under your control. Therefore, it is your fault to look a certain way. After all, you really can't control nuclear war, cancer, or losing a parent. But the real tragedy here is our misunderstanding of body image and the concept of the ideal body type, an ever-changing zeitgeist, if you will. Throughout history, ideal body types have always shifted. For women, this is a quick gif of what the perfect female body type has looked since the 1910s. Starting in the 1950s, pop culture and the media started to have a much larger effect on women's views about their bodies. The 1950s was the rage of the hourglass shape. Think of Marilyn Monroe here. The 1960s hippie era was dominated by narrow hips and thin as in. The 1970s saw the disco diva become the most desirable body. The long, lean, dancing queen was the rage, and women were still pressured to maintain a slim, hipped, flat stomach body. The 1980s saw the dawn of the supermodel. Tall, leggy women come to represent the feminine ideal, and Elle Macpherson, Naomi Campbell, and Linda Evangelista leave the stampede with ideal bodies. The 1990s was the waif era. People even dubbed this heroin chic. How healthy. The 2000s saw the buff beauty. Real abs and even spray-on abs were the rage for women. And finally, we are currently in the era of the booty babe. Bootylicious bodies have gone mainstream. Nicki Minaj's Anaconda, don't want none unless you got buns, hun. J-Lo is all about that big, big booty because she got a big booty. And Meghan Trainor is all about that bass. While the ideal female body type typically changes every decade, the male body type doesn't change as much or as quickly, but there have been changes. In the 1870s, wide hips and a large stomach were ideal. A tubby frame was linked with higher economic status. In the 1930s, a slim ideal arrived due to food becoming easier to access for most Americans. Hollywood now required actors to have relatively lean physiques. The 1960s saw the rise of slim counterculture figure, where men appeared to care little about fitness. The 1980s saw the rise of the bulked body. Bodybuilding went mainstream and huge bulging muscles were the rage. Finally, from the 1990s to present, the everyman became the norm. Lean and muscular body became the most perfect shape. Basically muscular, but not too muscular, but also looking effortless. What I'm trying to get at here is that today, one body type may be considered desirable, but the next generation, it might not be. Sometimes it's just super easy to look at people on TV and be like, I'm never gonna look like that. They have a crazy body. But other times it's, well, why don't I look like that? There must be something wrong with me. It's super easy to just say, oh yeah, just ignore what you see in the media, what you're looking at on social media and television. But putting that into practice is another ordeal altogether. Personally, I remember seeing a couple of years ago that curves were both the rage for women and men before and through the 1870s. I honestly thought to myself, why do I look the way I do? Why was I born in the wrong era? My wide hips and stomach that slightly hangs over my waistband doesn't fit in with today's society. So while I struggled with self-acceptance and constantly analyzed and criticized myself, I came across the puzzling case of sumo wrestlers. Sumo wrestlers are considered lightweights at 400 pounds. And I think it's safe to say that these men are just incredibly massive. However, they're overweight, but not unhealthy. They even have low cholesterol levels while eating 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day with a diet high in fried food. These men do not develop cardiovascular disease, and once they leave the sport, most return to a healthy body weight and lead normal lives. The secret? The combination of having a diet low in sugar with the intense exercise allows the sumos to store fat immediately behind their skin, unlike most people who store stomach fat behind their abdominal wall. Their form fits their function. The excess weight of these wrestlers allows them to get more momentum to push their opponent out of their ring, ultimately winning their match. So I thought to myself, well, how does my form fit my necessary functions? Well, I have large thighs and wide hips, which have always allowed me to squat more than most people. But how does that apply practically to my life? It allows me to take pictures like this. Without my large legs, I wouldn't be able to squat the necessary 154 pounds to make this picture happen. Yes, that's how much he weighs. Ask yourself this question. Does my form fit my function? If you wake up, get through the day, can get through your extracurricular, whether they are sports-based or not, then the answer is yes. I am my own pint-sized sumo, not having the most desirable body according to the media, but I love my body just the way it is. It gets me through both my good and bad. This is me. I've learned to love myself and all my body has to offer. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Sometimes I have doubts and question why I look the way I do. I yearn to look different, to look ordinary. It would just be easier that way, but that's not the way it is. Am I ever gonna be an Olympic sprinter or gymnast? Probably not, because I'm not built that way. But am I angry at that notion? Not at all. I'm the way I look, and I wouldn't ask for it any other way. Be your own pint-sized sumo. Be happy with who you are, and love yourself. So you know what? I do have the body for this shirt. I'm a pint-sized sumo. Call me morbidly obese all you want, or tell me to go on a diet, or laugh at the stretch marks on my stomach. I'll just use my momentum to push you out of my ring, ultimately winning my match. Thank you.